So we are going to be on the play against Mono Red Prison, which I didn't know what they were playing at the first, because this is the first time I've played against this person. Otherwise, analyzing this hand, it's not bad. We have land, we have a Stoneforge, we have a Narset, we have Force blue card, and we have this in case we need to remove something else. This is a really solid hand, and I feel this game could have been won or lost based upon the land that I played right here. So keeping in mind, this is something you always have to keep in mind when you are playing on the play against the deck in the dark, is could they be playing turn 1 Blood Moon? Now, it doesn't come up all the time, but this is the reasoning behind why I actually did this. So I decided to play an Arid Mesa. So just in case they did decide to play a Blood Moon, I could always fetch this, get a Plains, and then I will have white, and then I will have white and blue. And then, you know, obviously I won't be able to cast these, but that would allow me to pretty much bring in Batterskull and then force anything I don't need. Then obviously I would have to get a Plains or a island, which wouldn't be a really bad scenario. So with that in mind, I made a really good play here. Played Arid Mesa first because if they do play a Blood Moon, I can either choose to ignore it and get my Plains, and then I'll have one of each land. So that was the reasoning behind that. That's always something I'm keeping in mind, where if this person had Blood Moon, how would I get kind of screwed over? Because if I played Polluted Delta right here and they got a Blood Moon, I'd probably have to Force of Will it. That means I would have to get like an island there, and then I would have Island, Mountain, which means I couldn't play Stoneforge. Okay. Like, that is the literal only reason why I played that, not because I wanted to try and be some other deck, was to play around Blood Moon and to be like, do I care about this? And the answer is actually no. I got a Plains here, and I said, I'm not going to force this. That's fine. So now they have one Mountain. They're not going to be ramping anytime soon. Turn 2, I can play a Stoneforge, and then I can either protect my Batterskull or just force anything that gets tricky. There's a lot of times with Stoneblade where you're not going to care about cards like this or Chalice of the Void. Ironically enough, the deck we're playing against has both of them. It's a good draw. So let's play Stoneforge. Let's get Batterskull, and let's pass the turn. Okay, so now they have 3 mountains, about to be 4. What do you got? Probably want no part of it. Yeah, that's going bye-bye. See, by not forcing the, well, if I forced Blood Moon, they would have been able to, let's see, 2, probably been able to cast that, I assume, last turn, and I would have been in big trouble, so I made a very good decision there. The only thing it's like, well, if I don't get, you know, draw a natural Plains or a natural island, there's going to be a lot of cards I can't obviously play. That's not a big deal. This is an extra land, so this is the mountain. Let's play that. But I'm sticking to my plan when it comes to, because now they have 1 card in hand. Like, yeah, they could just, you know, get like a Haymaker, but I do have a Batterskull where I can actually, you know, bring it in and attack things. I tapped that in case I wanted to, I don't know, bluff a Brainstorm or a Spell Pierce, because this is a mountain. So let's use it as one. Keeping the stronger land open in that case, even though it looks silly. It's just something you constantly do. I do want to play a land here because I'm getting to the point where I can actually do Batterskull tricks, where I can return it to my hand and bring it in with Stoneforge. So that's the reason for playing these out. Also, I'm not going to be utilizing Brainstorm with a Blood Moon in play. I do have the option where if I do draw a Plains, I can Council's Judgment this, but it's not doing a whole lot. The fact that I'm not playing True-Name doesn't piss me off or whatever. Let's see what they got. Okay, so, well, now they have 2 Blood Moons, which is fine. So now I'm at the point where, do I want to plow this? And the answer is no. You know, from my perspective, they're probably going to keep this alive a little, and then they can chump block it. I'm more worried about, you know, plowing one of those, was it the Mentor one? You know, the boss, whatever it is. That's an awesome draw. Let's play that. Let's attack with this. Like, this is going to be saved for any type of, you know, Planeswalker or something else along that lines. Like, they can't play Karn. They have 1, 2, 3, 4, and get, like, Lattice. So, actually keeping these in, I think, is helping me more than hurting me. Seeing I can, you know, play it around that since, like, the beginning of the game. What do they got? Okay, so now I'm really not getting rid of Blood Moon. That's fine. Like, I was locked into not dealing with that. So, let's see. 13. So if I plow this, they'd be at 13, and that'd be 5. That means it would be a 3-turn clock. I did not plow it. Let's attack first. They have no cards in hand. Okay, so I did play this because what I can do is actually plow, and then if I need to, I can bounce Batterskull and bring it in, because that's going to cost, let's see, 3, 5, 6. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and plus I have my planes, so I don't need to councils anything here. End the turn, I'm going to plow this because it's going to be a 2-turn clock, because they'll go to 9. They're just playing this for no reason. Maybe if they get an ensnaring bridge, I guess, is the reason for that. But here I want to plow, because it'll be 2 turns. I'm not sure if I played this or not. I don't really know what I'd be looking for. In order to, I guess, probably the only thing that I could get here would be like an island. That way I could, but then I would need island and something else. I can't get a Force of Will because, well, I can get a Force of Will. I can't hard cast it, so I'm pretty sure I didn't do anything with the Brainstorm. If they cast something weird, I could Brainstorm in response. That's getting Council's Judgment out of the way. Let's Council's that. Let's kill that, and then we attack and win. So that was a very interesting game. Like I said, I feel that game was won because of playing Arid Mesa first and then not countering Blood Moon. Something to keep in mind, this is the first time I've actually played against Mono Red Prison. Recording it, I've played against it many times. It's overall a good matchup. Sometimes they will get you with having, like, I remember, what was it, one game they played turn 1 Chalice, turn 2 Trinisphere, like turn 3 one of the Karns. It was just like there's absolutely nothing I could do with the hand that I had. It was a lot of 1-drops. I think it was like them on the play game 1. Sometimes stuff like that happens, but either way, it's a pretty good matchup as long as you don't lose to some stuff where you actually get locked out. Either way, let's move along to the sideboarding for this. Alrighty, so what do we have here against Mono Red Prison? I do like Force of Negation. This is probably one of the biggest reasons why I got this card for a 5th Force. This matchup isn't all that bad, but like I said, sometimes they'll just do something that happens to lock out all of your hand. It happened twice to me, like back to back. I'm like, all right, I can't stand this, so I actually bought Force of Negation. This deck was one of the reasons for it. Not that this is the only deck that it comes in against. It's great against a lot of combo. Sometimes you can bring it into control, whatever you want to use, but this was a driving factor. I like Clique here. I like Containment Priest. I remember someone brought this up in the Discord. This is a good end-of-turn beater, plus it trades with a lot of their creatures, whether you think about it. So it can pressure their Planeswalkers, it can pressure their life total, and it can trade with pretty much all of their creatures. So it's actually a pretty solid card to bring in. So keep that in mind. Disenchants we definitely want, both packages. Spell Snare I'm going to want on the play. Ironically enough, they do have quite a few 4-drops, 2-drops. It's going to be Chalice of the Void. They do have, sometimes they'll bring in Sorcerer's Spyglass. I'm not sure about Ratchet Bomb. Sometimes they'll bring in like a Braid. So this actually hits more cards post-board, but I do prefer having it on the play just because it's much easier to use. Hydroblast is going to be great. And if you want to bring in a Path to Exile, it's going to be up to you. A lot of these Mono Red Prisons are changing kind of how they play the game. Some will have a lot less creatures. Some will have a lot more. I believe in this, I forgot if I brought it in or not, but let's just say I did. It's pretty much going to be up to you. So actually, I'll keep these here. First, let's take out what we don't want. I'm not using Volk here. Let's see, those look good, those look good. Not needing Narset here, not needing Narset here. Back to basics, and let's see, 1 Jace. And I don't think I did bring in Path to Exile. I think that's how it was, okay. And then we're bringing these in. And as you can see right there, we're taking those out. So let's sort by converted mana cost. Looking pretty lean. I do like 1 Spell Snare. You could take that out if you were on the draw like I am. That's going to be up to you. Containment Priest is an interesting one, but like I said, it's good for playing end of turn, pressuring Planeswalker, pressuring life totals, and it trades with a lot of their creatures they have. So all in all, it's a pretty solid card. Jace, you could have 2. It really depends on what you're taking in and bringing out. Like if you wanted to take out a Containment Priest, Jace can do a lot of great things in this matchup. Sometimes it comes down to a stalled board state, land a Jace, and you're going to be good to go. But either way, that is the sideboarding. Sometimes it will change, like I said, depending on the player draw, but this is going to be on the draw. So let's move to game number 2. So on the draw against Mono Red Prison, and I happen to like this hand. It's pretty solid. It's got land. You know, obviously I have a Force of Will and a blue card to pitch. I do have a Nature's Chant, so I can get rid of any type of, you know, enchantment that enchantment. Yeah, they play a lot of enchantments, James. I can get rid of a lot of their artifacts. So overall, I'm keeping this. First turn, nothing is great. Okay, another sword. So here, since we are playing against a Blood Moon deck, we want to ask ourselves, what color do we want to put into play? So if they do play a Blood Moon, we will have, you know, more of it. And the answer in that one is pretty much going to be a Polluted Delta. That way, if they do play a Blood Moon, I can crack it and be like, well, I'll be cool with, you know, blue-white. Okay, and this really put a wrench in my plans because if I don't force this, I have 2 turns of doing absolutely nothing, one turn of doing absolutely nothing. The other turn I could play my land. So unfortunately, I did choose to Force of Will this. This is kind of annoying on turn 2, but like I said, that would have pretty much made me just do nothing. So let's keep going here. Okay, that's a pretty solid draw. Let's play Arid Mesa here because now we can play Brainstorm, fetch away, you know, and then do whatever we want. Let's see what they got going on. And they play a Karn, so let's respond by brainstorming. Polluted Delta Island. Yep. That Trinity Sphere really hurt there, because anything but that would have been fine. I could have just disenchanted next turn, and then I could have Force of Willed like the payoff after that, but that's the way it worked. So here is very interesting, a lot of redundant stuff. So right now I have blue, white, and then I can have blue and white. So here I probably am not looking for a plains and a swords. Swords I can at least handle something. Nature's Chant can stop like a lattice. Unfortunately, you know, not the greatest cards in the world. I do want to keep a Ponder because I need to search for more stuff like a Council's Judgment to remove this, a True-Name to pressure it. So I believe here is going to be a plains and a swords. Yep. And they are ticking it up. Maybe they thought that I had a... I was playing Jeskai, which I kind of am, but I don't play Lightning Bolts, so I think that's the reason why they ticked up there is because if they went down the 3, I could have fetched for a Mountain and Lightning Bolted this, so I think that was what was going on over there. Let's fetch. We'll get Plains. Okay. More land is certainly not good. Let's play Ponder with our island before we play a fetch to see what we get. Now, I thought really hard about this. I'm like, well, Force of Negation isn't bad. You know, I could counter something, but I can't counter something next turn. If I get a Snapcaster, you know, maybe after I play a Swords or maybe after Nature's Chant, that's going to be helpful. In the end, I found this is too slow. I'm not looking to Force of Negation or anything. This is the big problem right now, so... at first, I thought I was going to keep this, like Polluted Delta on the bottom, and then, you know, Snap and then Force. But then I chose to shuffle it, and I get the old shuffle bug, as they like to call it. But anyway, here I want to play a Flooded Strand. In case they do play a Blood Moon, that way I can fetch for an island, and then I will have Island, Island, Plains, Plains, Mountain. Okay, that's cool. And... as they played this, I made sure I put a stop on my opponent's turn. Otherwise, it could go to combat, you know what I mean? And then they'll start creating creatures. Okay. They did that, so in the meantime, I just plowed it. That's fine. Once again, they're ticking up. I'm guessing they're really playing around, you know, some type of lightning bolt. So now they can go down to 5 and then, you know, get what they need. I don't know what's going on now, but... they also don't have a ton of mana, so they might be waiting for that. Now we are hitting a lot of lands, which is never a good thing. Here I just want to play probably Polluted Delta. Yeah. I can Force of Negation anything. I can not do a whole lot, to be honest. Drawing some interesting cards, but that's fine. Okay, so they have another one. This is where the other swords would have been helpful, but at the time, like, dealing with the board wasn't our #1 priority. So now they're getting something spiffy. Okay, so they did get the lattice, as expected. Sure. I might have thinned here. I was like, I'm drawing so many lands. I normally don't thin, but I do have 2 more fetches where that came from. And we draw another land. Okay then, that's very helpful. I guess we can, you know, play another land? Sure. What do you got? Okay, so here, something to keep in mind that anything that I exile from Force of Negation, I'm pretty sure they can get back, because it says you can choose an artifact you own from outside the game or an exile. So I didn't want a Force of Negation this because they can just get it back. So I figured, you know, since this is going to be saved for the lattice, I'm better off just, you know, forcing it. I'm not sure if they know about that interaction where once this gets exiled, I'm sure it would probably show up in their exile spot, but that is something to keep in mind. In paper, that would be a much bigger difference because they might not realize it, but now they just have a crap ton of creatures. The biggest thing was like that turn 2 Trinisphere where I felt I kind of had to force. Otherwise, I would have not been doing much. I couldn't force anything after that next turn. So that was a pretty big play there, but not a big deal. Okay, so let's ponder here. Okay, we know they have that. So I could actually 1, 2, 3, 4. I haven't played a land yet. I could play a Batterskull and hope they don't know how to, you know, use the interaction with that or whatever. So I showed them a little respect and assumed they knew how to do that. Playing Stoneforge here isn't a big deal because I'm going to block like a 2 guy, plus they got this guy, they got all these guys attacking, plus another creature, plus the Mentor. I didn't think this was enough, so I actually took the Brainstorm. And then I shuffled to see, got an island here, played Brainstorm. Okay, and well, pretty much here I don't want 2 lands. Should I make it through the turn? Let's do that. And pretty much I got rid of just one of the guys right away. So this one is going to create a 1/1 creature. This one is going to create a 1/1 creature, but this one gets, whenever a creature attacks, it gets +1/+1. I was trying to figure out which one is going to be more powerful. I didn't feel like doing the math because my math was I'm pretty much dead, so I just killed one of these. That was that. Yep, here comes the Laticio. Just gonna do this. This is how you actually play around this. So what you do, if you have the Disenchant in hand, you tap your island, and you tap your plains, and you let it resolve. In case you didn't know how to do this, they're actually making it a creature, sure, and now you just kill it. But that's how you get around that. That actually happens a lot. It comes up a lot. So don't make that mistake, be like, oh, I have a Disenchant, but then once it comes into play, you can't use your lands. Either way, 1, 2, yeah. They attack, and that's that. And they win. Okay, so cool. It didn't matter if I fetched or not because they had lethal either way, but that was just a case of them kind of doing what they do. Like I said, the biggest thing on that was the Trinisphere, and like I said, if I didn't get rid of that, next turn I wouldn't been able to do nothing, where they can pretty much, I can't even force anything, so they had like a free turn, so I felt it was best to, what's it called, force of will that, and then of course, looking for answers to this, I couldn't find any, and that just kind of took over, combined with a ton of different creatures, plus I drew a lot of lands that game, as you saw, so sometimes that happens, but game 3 I'm going to be on the play, and they're definitely going to be in trouble because I know what they're up to, and I can actually maximize my hand, so let's actually move back to sideboarding, and we'll take a look at the changes that I made. Okay, so this is the these are the cards that we had here. Pretty much I'm taking out 1 card. I think I might have taken out Jace and actually brought in a Spell Snare. I don't remember 100%. I did take, actually no, let me take that back. Jace stays in there because Jace is good. Let's do this. And what I brought, or what I took out, I actually took out 1 Ponder. Keep in mind, you can take out Ponder. You know, it's just a cantrip, and I feel like I have so many good cards that taking out a Ponder is fine. I'm not planning on pondering turn 1 anyway, maybe turn 2, so it's not the greatest card in the world. Actually, let me take that back. This is actually my favorite card in the deck. However, I feel a lot of the cards that I already have in here are much more powerful, and I'm not really planning on using this in the first few turns anyway, so I had no problem taking that out. So that was the changes that I made. Spell Snare is going to be much more powerful and potent on the play because we can actually use it against like Chalice and a lot of other crap that they might bring in. So that is the small change that I used for game number 3 on the play. So let's move to the 3rd and final game of this match. They're in trouble. That's all I got to say. Like coming into this, I was telling myself this person is in trouble. I know what they're up to. I am on the play. You're not going to be doing any sneaky shenanigans. And holy crap, is this hand awesome. Oh my goodness. I mean, look at this hand, okay? First of all, True-Name is a house against them. It's like once it's in play, they can't stop it unless they play a Ensnaring Bridge. I have Force backup. I have Spell Pierce. I have Hydroblast. Awesome Snap Keep. Thank you very much. Probably only need about one more land. I can play it around Blood Moon significantly, or, you know, effectively. Here we want to play Delta, obviously. I was actually hoping for a Blood Moon. That would have been awesome, but they did not. And this is the one thing I don't like about this deck, is that they really go all in turn one on a lot of stuff, and it's just so easy to kill a lot of them. Not always, obviously, but that's the thing. It's like, you know, 1, 2, 3. This is, you know, 4 cards pretty much. Okay, and oh, what's going on here? There we go. I'm actually just going to counter this in the stack, I believe. Did I not counter on the stack? Oh, James, that was a bad play. Either way, I made sure I added a stop on my opponent's turn so it didn't go straight there. I could have just countered it. I'm not sure why I didn't, but no harm, no foul there. But yeah, I mean, that's 1, 2, 3, 4 for 1, kind of, I guess you could say. Sure. But they do have some mana at least, right? Let's see what we got. Oh my goodness, what an awesome draw. So I can keep Spell Pierce up, but what I like here is actually playing Stoneforge, because I do have Force of Will backup and I do have extra cards that I can pitch to it. So let's play Stoneforge here and get down the trying to get down the Batterskull as quickly as possible. So now they only have 3 cards in hand. They're drawing 1, and I have answers for a lot of things. And they have to pretty much answer this eventually. 1, 2, that's 4 mana. And they're doing nothing. A land here would be awesome. A land here is exactly what we get. Perfect. It's also important to not crack this, because I don't know if I'm going to be needing a Plains, which I can get, or an Island, which I can get from a Tundra. I've seen that watching a lot of other people. They will randomly just fetch. And I'm like, why are you doing that before you draw a card? Because if I got a Plains here, and then I drew nothing, like, how am I going to play True-Name? You know what I mean? So don't fetch unless you have enough information, or you're like tactically thinning your deck, or especially in a spot like this where you're not sure what lands you're going to need. Let's bring this in. Okay, it's a solid draw. What I want to do actually here is attack first, because if I play Brainstorm first, they can abrade this. Then I can't bring it back to my hand, so I want to make a move first. I'm attacking with both also, because I'm not going to be doing any Batterskull tricks. I need 5 mana for that. So here I did want to Brainstorm. The thing that sucks with this, well, let's look at the pros and cons. It's an interesting spot of brainstorming. I do have a fetch land. However, my hand is pretty damn good. And I have at least 1 card I can throw away, which isn't bad because I don't need 2 copies of that. So I'm looking to hit maybe 1 card out of the 3 that I can throw back with it and shuffle away. Or heck, maybe I don't want to shuffle away. So, but I do need land. My hand is getting very land intensive. Like, I want to be able to play a True-Name and have a Spell Pierce up. So I decided to Brainstorm here. And we hit really good cards, ironically enough. So this decision took me a while. I don't remember exactly what I did, but I can kind of run you through my thought pattern. So first of all, I thought about everything that I could possibly do. I'm like, well, first of all, I did want to land, but do I need to play it this turn? Like, I could always just, what's it called? Put this on top of my deck and not fetch. However, if they play something 1, 2, 3, 4, like if they play a Karn, I'm going to want to Spell Pierce it, and then I'm going to need to get a Tundra, which means I'm throwing away my land. So I wanted to keep my land. Pretty much here, I believe it was getting rid of a True-Name and probably a Swords To Plowshares, simply because if they play a creature, I've got it covered with this, and this can answer anything. This is a very important card in the matchup, especially like a Karn or an Ensnaring Bridge or a Lattice. Not a Lattice because I can't play an instant speed. So I believe here was True-Name and then Swords on top. I want to keep a Swords on top because it's more important than the True-Name, seeing I already have one, even though I can pitch this to this or this to this. So let's see. Let's go back to it. True-Name, right? Okay, Plow and then True-Name maybe. Okay. That's fine. I think I was placing priority on getting another blue card, so plus here I don't have to shuffle. Okay, Carnosaurus Rex, I don't think so. So Spell Pierce is turned off here. In fact, let's see, they're choosing to do... In fact, what I could do here is just simply return it to my hand. Then I would lose the... what's it called? The what I have, the True-Name on top. I mean, that's not a bad play. And then what? They're going to have 2 open. And then, you know, what could they do with that? What's the word? A Chalice, which isn't doing much at this point. So what I actually chose to do here is Force of Will. However, I think the actual best play is just fetch for planes, fetch for blue, return it to my hand, and then what? It does 1 damage to each creature. So 2 damage. It would kill that, which means I wouldn't be able to play it. So I'm kind of thinking about it. I think Force of Will is actually the best play here. So I'm going to force pitch Spell Pierce. I talked myself out of it. I'm like, I knew there was a good reason why I chose to Force of Will it, because if I do bring everything back, that means now I don't have a land and I can't actually play it, because this is going to die, because it does, let's see, to each creature, yeah. So let's Force of Will this, pitching Spell Pierce, because Spell Pierce is pretty much not usable anymore. And they actually conceded there, ironically enough. They had enough. And that's all it took to get a win out of that game 3, sealing up the deal and beating Mono Red Prison. So I'm assuming they had nothing else to do. Next, I had a True-Name coming up. I wouldn't mind having another one of those, because those are just going to pressure them like crazy. They're very hard for them to deal with. They'd pretty much need a Ensnaring Bridge, but I had that cover. Like, this could pressure a Karn, this could pressure a Karn, plus I can equip these 2. Then I had that to deal with anything. They were going to be in a lot of trouble. So that's pretty much it. That was the full game against Mono Red Prison. I believe, looking at a few things to probably polish up, this one would have been risky, because if I didn't draw land, I wouldn't be putting any pressure on, and that's how they can get back into the game. But aside from that, forcing that Trinisphere was a big deal, game 2. However, I probably would have done the same, just because I don't want to be left doing nothing for the second turn. I wouldn't be able to force anything on that, and then I think I would have lost either way. They would have played the Karn. But all in all, worked out very well. 2-1 against Mono Red Prison. The Stonebladers take it again. That's another one for the good guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll talk to you soon.